Hello and welcome to another episode of Grange TV. We have, as usual, Eli doing all the roadie stuff and a very, very special guest all the way from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Murilo Bustamante. Welcome and thank you very much for being on today's show.
Thank you, Fab, for having me here. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
We would have started this earlier, but I've only just met you. But you came out, just spoke to the class, and I don't know if you realise, but we ended up speaking with the class for maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes, and it went so quick. The class I'm talking about is the GAP program, the Gracie Aboriginal Pathways program, and that was awesome. You just started speaking to the students, and we all really appreciate that very much, so thank you for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. I hope it helps some way. What I did is just talk about a little bit about my life, my fight life, so I think it can be useful some way for them.
On that, we were speaking in the car and we were speaking to the class, and you've run similar programs. You've run a social project in Brazil, which is a similar program somewhat to what we're doing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did before in Rio, but it's a little bit different than you guys doing because you used to go to the very poor communities, so you get inside the community, sponsored by the government of my state in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and we create a program of martial arts with my coaches, my students, and we try to teach them martial arts, of course, but not only martial arts. We try to teach them the most you could to give them knowledge in general. Like beside the martial arts, we make a kind of a read school, help them to study for the school in general, elementary school and high school, and because I think that martial arts has a lot to helps with the discipline, behavior of the kids. So the kids they born and raised in really poverty background and areas, so then this kind of social program is very useful in Brazil. To can help to make them can change their lives some way.
And so your background, you were telling me your father was an engineer. Is that correct?
Architecture.
Oh, an architect.
Architect, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you told me you were very good at mathematics, with numbers.
Yeah.
And you started an engineering degree?
Yeah, I studied for 1.5 years engineer, but then I was studying so much that I couldn't do anything of my life else of my life. So then I quit.
And then you started an economics degree?
Yeah, because I couldn't do what when I was in the engineer university, I couldn't do something I liked the most in my life, that was training martial arts. So, and it started to affect me, and then I quit and I chose another discipline, another study, the university, that could give me some time to do, something that was important for me at the time, and proved that was the most important in my life. That was be inside the martial arts world. So
you graduated with a degree in economics?
Yes, I did, finalizing.
And whilst your whole life you trained jiu-jitsu and boxing and judo, but mainly jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I started training jiu-jitsu when I was around to 10 to 11 years old. So I was training just for fun in the beginning.
I'm going to get straight into this as well, because you are a former UFC middleweight champion. You're the second UFC middleweight champion. I just want to talk about a few of the fights, because I was a huge fan. The big one I think that I want to talk about, the first one I'm going to talk about is, there's a whole bunch of fights, but the one I want to ask you about was the fight with Tom Erikson.
Yes.
Headbutts, bare knuckles, he was maybe 140 kilos in that fight. Tell me, what did you think? What did you think when you saw him, etc.? Because you fought him to a draw too. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's true. It was at the time I was 30 years old, and I never planned to become a professional fighter. My first fight was because there was a challenge between Jiu-Jitsu and Luta Livre in Brazil, and I stepped in because I was, I was among the best black belts at the time in Brazil, in the world at the time, because everything that happens in my state didn't have Jiu-Jitsu was in Rio de Janeiro at the time. It was 91. So, and it was a challenge, and I felt that I should be involved to defend my discipline, the discipline that I loved, that was Jiu-Jitsu, my sport. Wasn't something about to step in the ring to make money or to get famous. It was about to defend the discipline, the Jiu-Jitsu, and didn't have any market for professional fighters. So I never thought I would be a professional fighter. And then after that, 91 was this fight. Jiu-Jitsu won the three matches, and then 93 I think was the year that they created UFC, and then after that they created Pride in Japan. Then the market grow, and then in 96 I was invited to fight Vale Tudo in Rio, and I fought in Rio once, and then there was a show, the reality martial arts, martial arts reality super fighting. That was the show I fought Tom Erikson, and there was a kind of challenge between Russia and Brazil, and some Brazilians, and there was a tournament, and I knew that they're gonna fight. I knew Tom Erikson was was a really good wrestler, and I knew he will be a very big challenge at the time.
When you saw him, when you were about to fight him, or when you saw him in the lobby of the hotel, and you saw how big he actually was in person, did that affect you at all?
No, I think when I saw him when I arrived at the hotel the first day, I saw him in the lobby, but I didn't care anymore. I didn't care. I was about to fight, so when you're going to fight, doesn't matter who you're gonna fight or how big they are, but you're gonna fight anyway. So you cannot be impressive for the size or weight or whatever. So actually, I thought he was smaller than people say.
He was expecting something bigger. He got let down.
I didn't care because I was already there to fight, so I couldn't be. But he was big. He was big. And
when you fought him, was he very strong?
Oh yeah, he was a beast, man. He was a beast, and it was I already expected that you were gonna make the final. It was an 8-man tournament. I fought 2 times before the final, and he fought 2 times before the final, and the final is supposed to be 30 minutes, and after 10 minutes fighting, it was already a hard fight. 10 minutes fighting was the referee came to us and said that the fight didn't have time anymore. So I was inside the cage with the monster that I have to beat. I have to fight you if somebody quit or somebody beat each other. So, and at the time I didn't pass in my mind to quit, and I knew my opponent wouldn't do the same. So
you could feel that from him that he was.
Oh yeah. And it was funny because the night before I met some wrestlers, students of friend of mine. They said to me, "Hey man, this guy is yellow. If you punch his face, he will quit. He's not He's not a fighter.
He's
not a fighter. He's not used to get punched." I said, Okay, and I was there around 10 minutes fighting, punching his face the most I could, and really hard punches, it was loudly, and I was thinking in my mind, like, who was the guy that told me who was the guy that told me the guy gonna quit? He's not quitting. Getting, it was a hard fight.
You were landing them flush on him? Like, you were landing them good?
Oh yeah, good ones, very good ones.
And he was
there, man. He was there.
Because I've seen the fight.
Yeah, man. It was a 40 minutes fight. It was, we fought hard to the end, and all I can tell that was among the 3 more important fights in my life. The guy was a beast. At the time, he lost the qualifying to the Olympic Games, and the guy that beat him in the qualifying for a small advantage got a gold or silver in the Olympic Games.
Right,
it was a Baumgarten. So the guy was at top level of wrestling, and was super prepared, and and I was prepared as well. I was lighter, but I was ready for the challenge. It wasn't something that I didn't know what was gonna happen in the ring. It wasn't the opponent gonna surprise me because he was better than I thought he was. No, I knew it would be a hard battle. It was a very hard fight, and I was prepared for that, and I want that. I want to be tested. I feel that I should be tested. My jiu-jitsu was ready to be tested with the best in the world, so I stepped in because of that.
He was fighting under those rules. If he got on top, being a big, strong, heavyweight wrestler, under those rules, he was allowed a headbutt, an elbow. And how did you deal with that? Because you were also allowed a headbutt, but how did you deal with the headbutts from the top?
Yeah, it's hard because, for example, compared with the rules, the MMA rules, universal rules that ruling the market, the UFC and the shows around. Have elbows, you have punches, but with the headbutt you have something else. So you have to be prepared to defend, everything. So it's more work from the bottom. So I'm a jiu-jitsu fighter, so I'm work with my. I think playing from the bottom, jiu-jitsu fighters, they can do better than anyone.
100%, yeah.
So but deal with it's one more gun that one more option that the guy from the top. So give me more work from the bottom. It's harder. And I got some headbutts from the big head of Tom Erikson. His head was like a big rock.
Where did he get you when he hit you? Where did he hit you with his head?
My eye. I got a cut, but nothing that put me out. That bothered me that much. But I make me work harder to defend myself. So. But I think fighter must deal and mold himself to the rules that's going on. So some fighters complain about rules, but it's better fight in the ring, fight in the cage, whatever. You have to fight whatever you're gonna have to deal with. Be able to fight anywhere. So and mold yourself for the rules. So for me, it doesn't matter. I was ready for deal with the headbutts. I got 1 or 2 during the fight, but it doesn't affect me that so bad. Did you have an interaction with Tom Erikson after the fight?
Yes. He's a super nice guy, super polite, athlete, low profile, and my fight against him, for sure make me a better fighter after that, So when I was fighting the shows after, nothing could be worse than fighting the third fight. A guy with his level and his weight and his prepare, a guy was super athlete, as a Olympic level athlete, and nothing could be worse than that. So, and make me stronger and tougher, for sure.
And he was good. He was receptive to you, and
You guys were all good after the fight?
Yeah. So he went to the locker room after the fight. We talk each other. Super nice guy, super polite.
Have you ever run into him again?
No, a long time I don't see him. I met him in Japan a couple of times in Pride. He fought Pride as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, for a long time I don't see him.
Because I think if you fought someone under those conditions like that, again, like that's something you'll be 90 years old and still remember that, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just an interesting thing. Another fight I want to ask you, when you won the UFC belt, what was that like?
Yeah.
Because you left the UFC straight afterwards?
No, I left UFC after the Matt Linden fight. It was when I was...
You defended the belt?
Defended my belt. Dave Mene was my second fight under Zuffa organization. And it was a fight, the first fight... My first fight in UFC was in Japan. It was the organization, the company was before Zuffa. And it was a kind of franchise. UFC got a kind of a business with a Japanese company. I don't know how it works, but they invited me to fight. Actually, Art Davey, that was involved with the UFC, he already about to invite me to fight UFC. And I fought Jerry Bolander in Brazil in '97. I beat him. He was a middleweight champion. I think he was the best middleweight in the tournament in the UFC. And I beat him. And then after that, I thought the UFC going to invite me. And I met Art Davey a couple months after the fight. And he talked about something that they were about to invite me, but didn't happen. And they only invite me in 2000 to fight. And I fought in Japan against a Japanese guy. I had a contract for 3 fights. So first fight was against a Japanese, Yoji Anju, and I beat him. And the second fight, my company put me to fight in another show, was a punk race. And then the company broke. Something happened, and then they lose a contract with the UFC. I don't know, but I lost the contract, and then they called me to fight in first show of Zuffa in Las Vegas against Chuck Liddell. And after the fight was a controversial result.
It was a good fight, but
yeah, it was a good fight. I was a lot of people think I won the fight. But it was a hard fight. Chuck, it was a killer. It was a very
then Chuck
hard
was
hands.
like at the
I fought the light heavyweight, but I was weighing kind of for 200 pounds on the day of the fight. I was a more middleweight.
You are a natural middleweight, though.
Yeah, I'm natural middleweight. So, but the day of the fight, he was about 220, something like that. It was a very hard fight. So it was a hard fight for me, but I did well. And then I went to the locker room with Joe Silva, say sorry for the result because I wore in their hands. I think was. And then after the fight, they offered me 2 options. First option was fight Chuck Liddell again, or
at light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight.
Because people don't understand, Chuck's a big guy.
Yeah, big guy. Or second option, fight for the title in the middleweight. And then I thought, man, I'm gonna fight Chuck again. This guy is a beast. He's a super, tough guy. And if I beat him, I have to fight Tito for the belt.
Another monster.
Yeah, another monster. And then I don't go straight for the belt. So I have 2 hard jobs. If I go to middleweight,
and they're a lot bigger than you.
Yeah, they're both bigger than me. But anyway. That wasn't the problem for me. The problem for me was that I had 2 hard jobs to get a belt. Instead, go to the middleweight and fight straight for the belt. So it was a better deal. And then I picked the better deal. And my plan was taking longer, return for the light heavyweight and fight the guys, and fight the guys like Chuck Liddell and Tito and all the guys. I want to go as hard as I could. That's my goal. I always pick the harder opponents that I couldn't meet during my time. And then After Chuck Liddell, I hurt my finger. I had to make a surgery, and took longer to me to restart to go back to training. And then my training camp was, I could train well for 6 weeks, but because I came from the hard fight and I make a good camp, and I made myself ready for the fight. And
with Dave Manning.
Dave Manning, yeah, for the title match. And I was okay, was no hurt, no injury. It was a kind of good camp. And it was a kind of fight that everything works very well. Inside, I get inside the cage against such a hard fight, the champion at the time, and I fought and I didn't get any injury. So it was, sometimes you fight guys not so good and you hurt something, you got a cut, but this fight was a tough guy and nothing happens. I step in and step out, completely clean. So it was good. It was very good, and it was a good fight, good match.
Then after that, the Lindland fight, that was very cool as well. Do you want to explain the Lindland fight? Because that was marred in controversy as well.
Yeah.
Did he tap? Did he tap with that armbar?
Well,
of course
I don't know.
That's what I want to ask
him. You have to ask him. I don't know. I didn't stop because he tapped. I stopped because McCarthy sent me to stop.
Oh, McCarthy told you to stop?
Yeah, he told me to stop.
So what was the problem then?
Because he thought Lindland tapped. And then Lindland said he didn't tap. And then McCarthy tried to put his arm on the arm bar. And then Matt Lindland just stand up, and then the situation was over, and then it was a big mess.
Sorry, I didn't know this. I thought that Lindland tapped, and then you let him go.
No, I didn't let him go because he tapped, because I didn't feel it.
So in fairness to Matt Lindland, I apologise, Matt Lindland. So no, I didn't do anything. But in fairness to Matt Lindland, you didn't feel him tap.
No, I didn't care if he tap or not. I'm just gonna release when I feel that the referee gonna see that the situation is going on, and and he gonna tell me to stop. I wouldn't hurt. My intention never hurt my opponent, but win the fight clear. If referee, sometimes the referee doesn't see that the opponent tap, but the opponent is a fair guy. And he tap and say he taps. So I think in my mind that Matt Lindland tap, but I didn't see at the time.
Thought he did?
No, I didn't. After the fight, I think he tapped.
Ah, okay.
After the fight, watching the fight, but during the fight, I didn't feel it. During the fight, I just stopped because McCarthy sent me to stop.
Did you feel the arm bar was in?
Oh, it was completely, it was completely done. It was a kind of position that I have been doing my whole life. And you feel when you catch people,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was completely done. He wouldn't escape at all.
Now, you put the arm bar in. It was on. McCarthy told you to stop. Matt Lindland said he didn't tap, which have to believe he didn't tap then. We'll say that. He didn't tap. And then they put you back in the position?
No, they sent me to my corner. And I got so mad that they opened the cage door. Maybe I'm going to leave straight. Because
I remember this. I've seen the fight.
I was so mad that, I couldn't. And then restart the fight. I was trying to, recover my mind and my focus, and I ended the round kind of just, doing my best, but I couldn't. I lost completely my focus. And
I just want to say, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say something because people don't understand. Like, say for example, Matt Lindland, 2000, was an Olympic silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. High-level fighter, high-level athlete. He was UFC middleweight champion at one stage, wasn't he? Did he win the belt in the UFC at one stage?
Oh,
Lindland.
No, he didn't.
But he was always at the...
Yeah, he was undefeated.
Yeah, so then what I'm trying to get at is to be in a position where you finish someone like that, or you think you finish someone like that, and then they're told, no, you're going to have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
The amount of focus that you lose.
So let me tell a little bit about the story of this fight. So I was telling before that what's going on that during my camp, kind of 25 days before the fight, 3 weeks before the fight, I got an infection in my finger that I couldn't grab, you know.
Like a staph infection?
Yeah. And I couldn't grab, and I couldn't sparring, I couldn't do anything, just physical training. It took a lot of antibiotics, and I kind of stay 10 days with no training, technical training at all, just taking care of my finger. And during this time, I was very much insecure about my performance during the fight. You know, I mean, how am I gonna be? I'm gonna fight a tough guy, a tough fighter. It was my last fight in contract, and I asked my manager to contact UFC to renew my contract, and they didn't. So they didn't want. So they...
And you were the champion.
I was a champion. It was my last fight of the contract, and I asked my manager to contact UFC to renew my contract before the fight, and they choose don't do it. So I was very much insecure, and then after 10 days, like 2 weeks before the fight I restarted training, and then training with a lot of pain. So I went to the fight, and I was kind of, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen tonight, because I didn't train it the way I want. I got an infection in my finger. I'm gonna fight such a tough guy. He's undefeated, you know. So let's go to the fight. So the thing is, during the fight, I didn't feel anything in my finger at all. And I take him down in the first seconds of the fight. So I was on top. I took down. I was a kind of perfect fight, because I took down the guy was a silver medalist and silver medalist in Olympic Games and world champion. Yeah. So it was unexpected for me, because I thought, but my game was fit very well against him. And then I got the armbar. I said, man, supposed to be a hard fight. It's finishing right now. I can't believe it. It was much easier than I thought. And then suddenly the referee sent me to restart the fight. I said, man, come on. You know, I lose my mind. So I think this fight was important for me, because I got over something that I could recover my mind from something really hard, you know.
How did you recover?
Yeah, it was
How did you recover?
Man, I step by step, you know. Second round, I stepped to fight a little bit, and he fought a little bit better in the second round, but I recovered in the middle, so it was an even round, but I think I won the round. And I broke his nose with the jab. I think it was in the second or in the third round, but I was mad. I was fighting the first time in my life, a fight that was mad. You know, I was very mad. I want to hurt him because I was mad. And the third round, I knocked him down with a straight right, and from the top I started to punch him, and then I passed to the side, and then when he tried to stand up, I made a trap for him, and I stand up, I caught him in the guillotine, and he tapped. So it was something that was a test. It was a big test for me, you know, because like a Tom Erikson fighter and this fighter, Tom Erikson fight and this fight was two big tests in my career, you know, because
they're both such tough guys. Matt Lindland's such a tough guy. Tom Erikson's such a tough guy.
Yeah, but this situation is not about because Matt Lindland was a tough fighter.
No, of course.
He was a tough fighter, but because of the situation.
100%.
You know, I have to recover my mind from a situation that was hard, because I was fighting a tough fighter, and I submit him, so I have to restart from zero. So, you know, I didn't know how it was going to be, and thanks God, everything works well for my side.
That's insane, eh?
Must have felt good, but must have felt good that second time.
So they're the two. Another fight that I always remember, and it was a fight that you didn't win, but Amar Suliev.
Yeah, Amar Suliev. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that fight?
Yes, this fight was very hard for me because my camp wasn't. I got a problem with my elbow, and after the fight, I went straight for surgery. And I could train in wrestling. I could, my elbow was hurting so much during my camp because was inflammation.
Yeah.
A lot of I make a surgery to clean, make kind of small parts of bones and joints. So it was hurting so much that I couldn't train proper, and I was thinking about to quit. At this time, I couldn't handle the training anymore because it was so much pain, the worst in my life. And it changed my game a little bit. And then during the fight, it was hard. Suliev has a very good footwork, and he let me approach for take him downs. And because I didn't train wrestling well, my game was a little bit different, so I have to fight standing, and I was doing well. I think the fight was pretty much even. Suliev he was a tough fighter.
Very underrated, I think.
Yeah.
He's never really he's not like I don't think he's gained the recognition that he should for his level.
Yeah, but you know what? After my fight with Chuck Liddell, he fought Chuck Liddell. It was an even fight.
Yeah.
He was a good
that's how
striker.
good Amar Suliev was.
Yeah, he was a good striker, very good striker. He fought well against me, and I got a punch in the second round. It was a 2 rounds fight, I think so. 10 minutes and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think so. And I got surprised. I got a Superman punch, and I got surprised. I lost balance. Wasn't affect me that much because I recover fast and I go through him and punching after that. But he made some points with that, and then I lost the fight. But it was a very much even fight. It was even.
Yeah, I thought that was I thought that was an amazing fight, to be honest. It's like one of the fights that I like the most. Nothing to do with. Just as a fight, I liked it a lot. I thought it was just a great fight.
Yeah.
And that was one of the fights where
he was tough. He was tough. He was a tough guy.
Because I've always followed combat, and watching that fight because I knew who he was, I knew who you were, and I was very curious as to what was going to happen, and then just the interaction between both the contrasting styles. I thought was just a great fight. I don't know. That was my thing.
Yeah.
So during that whole time, you had started Brazilian Top Team, and at the time, Brazilian Top Team's arguably the best team in the world, at least top 3, top 4 through 2007, 2002 to 2007. Is that correct?
Yeah. 2007, we have some disagreements inside the team with among the founders. That was me and my partners, and I think it's bothered the whole team, and then some fighters left the team, and then after that 2008 I split with my partners and I stick with the brand, with the team. I was already one that take care of the affiliations, the affiliate schools. The affiliates that we had before was my students, personal students. And then I stick with the brand, and then I'm taking care of the brand till now, and spreading my own knowledge and curriculum and my system to the affiliates around the world.
At its peak, Brazilian Top Team, what was that like in 2006, 2004, that time when you had a rivalry with Shootbox? Was that the big rivalry?
Yeah, it wasn't the Pride, during the Pride time. That rivalry start for the kind of.
How did that start? Because it's always funny. Because always funny, like when like I say this from the outside because I know nothing about it, but I was listening sometimes to interviews. But I want to hear from you, anyways. But you always hear how the rivalry. What was the catalyst for the rivalry, so to speak?
Man, it was a kind of situation that happens with kids, something like that. You know, it's a misunderstood that my ex-partner, Mario Sperry, he went to train with. At the time, I was in Japan, but my team was there, and then the Japanese, they asked my team to train with a Japanese guy that would fight at the show, and the guy would fight one of the teammates of Shorty Box. It was Vanderlei Silva.
So Vanderlei was going to fight someone from Japan.
Yeah, and the guy, Japanese.
Which guy was?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It wasn't a strong opponent. It was a kind of Japanese, but Vanderlei beat him easy. And the Japanese staff from Pride asked us to train the same, you know, same room, same time. The Japanese could go to our training camp in Japan. It was a couple of days before the show. And they took the wrong way, you know, the shoot box guys, they took it in the wrong way. And
so Mario Sperry trained with the Japanese guy?
No, I don't know. It wasn't. We didn't train the guy. The guy was there, you know.
Okay.
At the same time, the guy was in our training camp, but we wouldn't care about him because it wasn't from our team.
Did you just use the room?
Yeah, he was there at the same time, the training camp. I was there training with his partner. I wasn't there, so I don't know the details, but I know it was something like that. But we didn't care about him. We were care of him, you know. So, and the guys from Shooty Box, they got mad because of that. Oh, wasn't. And Mario went there to explain the situation for them. That wasn't nothing special. That they invite us to go there, my team to be in the same. So, but they got mad anyway. And then the rivalry started there from this situation that they think wasn't, you know. And after a long time, they realized they Shooty Box people, they realized they made a mistake, and Vanderlei asked excuse to Arona because the day after that happens, the rivalry starts between Arona and Vanderlei. They arguing in the breakfast time. Arona gave a good morning to Vanderlei, and Vanderlei didn't answer, and then Arona got mad, and then, you know, a situation that was important.
So Ricardo Arona and Vanderlei were arguing at the buffet.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Yes. You have to go and separate that.
Yeah, so that's what happened.
Hotel security, please.
Hotel security has to stop those things.
Yeah, but they didn't fight, but just arguing, and then from there they start, and then the rivalry starts from there. And in the end, was good.
Was a lot of good fights coming from
Yes, that's true. It was good for the show. Was good for the teams because they got a job. You know, more fighters get a job for fight each other. Every time we fight each other was you know, a big audience. Everybody wants to see the fights, so bring more audience for our fights. So in the end, it was good, but it wasn't something. In my opinion, during the time of rivalry, I have a good relationship with everybody from Shooty Box. So I respect them, they respect me, but you know, I didn't have a problem with them. And I realized the situation wasn't so serious to be, you know, it wasn't something that really happens, something important that really happens. It was a kind of misunderstanding. But it was good in the end, you know, for the show. Pride likes. People from Pride like it very much.
Well, it's always good to have a story before the fights. It's the stories themselves. Yeah, 100%.
Make it more, you know, kind of a seasoning, you know, for the fights.
Because the fights with two really good fights was Vanderlei and Arona. They were crazy fights.
Yeah. And I think Arona won both, but they give the New Year's Eve. I was in the card as well. They give to Vanderlei.
Where is Arona now?
Arona is in Rio, live in Rio, in the Niterói. Is next city, just close to cross the bay. I mean, Niterói is one side of Baía de Guanabara, and Rio de Janeiro city is another side. so pretty close of Rio, but it's a different city. He's living, his house is a beautiful, inside, in front of a beautiful beach, Itacoatiara. So he has his own school there, teaching jiu-jitsu.
Oh, good on him. So he's doing good.
Yeah, he's doing good. Surfing, teaching jiu-jitsu, having a good life.
That's it. That's all you can ask.
Yeah.
So you guys at the time of Brazilian top team, you had the Nogueira brothers?
Yeah.
You had
Paulo Filho, Ricardo Arona, Carlos Barreto.
That fight, sorry to interrupt, Paulo Filho and
Murilo Ninja.
Murilo Ninja, that fight, I saw Paulo Filho was crazy, just so, that was a crazy fight, because Murilo Ninja is
tough.
Good.
Yeah.
And then Paulo Filho just did like a seminar.
Great. Yeah, he did great. Paulo is such a tough fighter, good mind. His mind is perfect to fight. He had been fighting his whole life.
What was his story? What was Paulo Filho's story? Because he's an interesting
Paulo is
from before, because since the Paulo Filho story.
Yeah, Paulo started training jiu-jitsu in Carson when he was a kid. But before that, I think he started training judo and competing a lot jiu-jitsu. And he was a kind of kid that I was already a black belt. I'm older than him, and he was a kind of juvenile. And I saw the kid and said, "Man, this kid go far. This kid's gonna be a big name. He's tough. He's a good fighter already, and then realized it, that he just became a big name in the martial arts world. And he was such a good mind to compete. He was always before the fights, he was super calm, cool, and good attitude during the ring, fighting well, believe himself, so very confident. So, and a lot of skills, because he started training when he was a kid, so he has a lot of skills.
He went through some issues, later on, or was that blown up by the media, or?
Yeah, he has some issues in his life, but I don't know.
So you don't have contact with him anymore?
Yeah, sometimes I meet him.
He's still training?
I don't think so. I think he's teaching around, seminars around, He was living in Niterói as well, a little bit far, but now I haven't seen that much.
Because he could, watching him impose his game on people he was unbelievable. He was very good.
Yeah. He has great skills. Takedowns,
Yeah.
Skills from the bottom, good arm bars from the bottom, good boxing. So he has everything. He's such a big heart, man.
He's good.
Yeah, big heart, brave guy.
He did he fight in the UFC? No, but he fought Chael Sonnen,
he fought Chael Sonnen, but I think this time he wasn't training proper, so he was already, I don't know, he was some issues in his life, and then I don't know why he wasn't stick with the training how she should be. So he got tired at the second round, most of his fights. He wasn't the same guy. He was fighting pride.
When he fought Murilo, he put fifth gear straight away and just for 15 minutes or however long that fight went.
Yeah, and when he fought Murilo Ninja, he was in his
that was the best I've seen.
Yeah, best of him. Yeah.
He just, have you seen that fight?
No.
Do yourself a favor and watch that fight. He just literally went to fifth gear in the first 30 seconds and just kept his foot on the accelerator. Just grappled him.
Yep. And
Ninja's unbelievably good too. It was just a good fight. Great fight. So then that was you were a Carlson Gracie guy as well?
Yeah, both of us.
And then that
actually all the team from Brazilian top team from Carlson Gracie.
What was that like? What was your experience with Carlson like, growing up and doing jiu-jitsu with him? And what was that experience like? Can you tell us about him?
Yes, Carson was an amazing coach, you know, super funny person. He knows. I've been meeting coaches my whole life, you know, but I never met anyone that has more knowledge of martial arts than Carson. Carson was a kind of guy that he born to be a fighter and to be a coach. And I learned very much from him, you know, so my whole life was my master. And it got a little, you know, kind of, I think it was, when I started training his gym because my brother was already there. My oldest brothers, and they took me to the gym. But I think it was perfect. If I had another coach, maybe it wouldn't fit so well for me as a person. You know, Carson was a kind of guy that was because of his fight life that he used to fight Vale Tudo a lot at the time. So he stick with the kind of game that we call rice and beans, you know, like simple but efficient, very efficient, you know. So solid game, I mean, you know.
Yeah. So, the term is meat and potatoes as well. They say same rice and beans, meat and potatoes.
Yeah, simple game but very efficient, you know. So and then it was perfect for me, you know. It works very well. I was competing since the blue belt to the black belt. I won everything. So when I arrived in the black belt, I was a super tough kid, you know, fighting in Brazil. And then when it happens, the first Vale Tudo match for me, I was ready, just competing jiu-jitsu, you know. But then I have some skills, martial art, because I have been training martial arts in general of my life because I like it, you know. And then everything together under Carson, you know, he prepared myself very well for any kind of challenge.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Carson had like the school has like that school of thought. It's a very holistic approach to grappling. It's not the tradition. It's not the jiu-jitsu necessarily that you see in competitions today. It was geared towards combat. Am I correct with that?
No, Carson school was about jiu-jitsu, only jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is...
But Carson created a kind of environment for tough guys.
Yeah.
So the academy for tough guys. You know, when I was a blue belt, there was a lot of tough guys on the mat. And they beat me every day. So I grew up in the environment of tough guys. So to be tough was something natural. You know, because we used to deal with tough guys and, you know, with a lot of skills as well. So I learned a lot from the people in his school. You know, it's a kind of pyramid that he teach the guys and everybody teach each other. The environment was so good, friendship, a lot of friendship, you know, and people care each other. But the training was super hard. You know, we care each other, but it was super hard. People don't hurt each other, but it was hard. So it was a kind of, and inside this environment, the academy, people like to train with no gi, you know, like MMA, because Carson kind of give motivation for people train, you know. So a lot of MMA, but didn't have MMA fights. The people train hard for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, you know. So people wasn't prepared for any kind of MMA fight or Vale Tudo fight because they didn't have fights, this kind of fights. They didn't exist in Brazil. So it's once each 10 years it happens, you know, on a fight like that. So, and during my time was in 91, I was a black belt and then I picked a fight. But after that, it didn't happen anymore. So then start to happen outside Brazil. And then 96 start to happen in Brazil again. And then I got involved.
Okay. You're going to say something?
No, I just know that it's that gym in particular, you always hear it's renowned for their tough guys. Do you know what I mean? Guys who are pass card very well. Do you know what I mean? Very heavy, train really hard, and that you hear that quite a bit. So it must have been like you said, that environment of every day you go to train, you know you're in for a tough one.
Carson, he has, I think, one of the best competition teams of all times. You know, he trained his students to be champions.
And sorry, not just top guys, but Ricardo De La Riva came from Carlson.
Yeah, Ricardo De La Riva,
well,
Mari
so,
Sper.
yeah.
A lot of the guys play from the bottom, from the top. You know, guys play guard as well, takedowns. They do everything. You know, Carson was. He knew very much jiu-jitsu. In my opinion, he was the guy that I met that knew more about martial arts and jiu-jitsu. So he prepared, and he was a good coach. He prepared the fighters to fight anyone, anytime, and they prepare not only the skills but their minds. So the competition team was amazing, his competition team, and I learned a lot.
And the people that came through, like the Brazilian top team that came from there.
Yeah.
Is Liborio a Carlson guy?
Yes, Liborio as well.
So American top team, Brazilian top team, all those guys that came through, they were all Carlson Gracie guys.
Carlson was in a lot of, you know, actually, I think the most successful schools in mixed martial arts came from the lineage of Carlson.
That's what I thought as well. Yeah.
I mean the Brazilians.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a Brazilian top team, and Nova União that come from José Aldo. André Pederneiras is a Carlson black belt.
Did you train with him coming up?
Yeah, a long time ago. He was a little bit lighter than me, and Carlson is a kind of, you know, a guy that create a competitive environment inside his academy. So we were competing each other, but it's a good way, you know. So, and he made a lot of tough fighters, and I learned a lot from him how to coach, because getting, you know, older. I mean, a long time ago. I mean, I'm not so old, but I mean, taking time, I start to teach in his school, you know, and take care of the competition team, me, Liborio, and some other students, and I start to help him to deal with the business and, you know, and the academy.
So what's happening with Brazilian top team now? What are the things you're looking at from a business perspective, and what's going on with Brazilian top team?
Yeah, now I'm Brazilian top team. I have affiliates around the world, you know. So my goal now is help them to grow.
How many affiliates have you got?
Around 40
you got 40
50,
schools?
40 to 50 around the world. Brazil, Europe, Italy, Austria, Canada, United States, Australia. What else? I'm missing something. So I have a lot of schools around the world, and my goal now is learn how to manage better the schools, you know, and give them the best I can to make the schools better, you know, profitable. So I'm creating my own curriculum, and I give them, you know, everything I learned from my fight life. I put in, you know, I try to help the best I can, in general, you know, not only the technical part, I mean the curriculum, but the management part, you know. So that's my goal. Learn to make my affiliation, my association better.
How hard is it for you or how hard do you see for people to make the jump from martial arts to business world?
Yeah, depend of the background of each one, you know. So martial art business is already here for a long time. So what I'm doing now is try to learn what people are doing that is working, you know, to bring people so to our academies, you know, try to make an environment to receive families, you know, kids, parents, you know, professionals in general, not only fighters. I mean, I have professional teams around my association, but my goal is bring ordinary people, because martial arts is very good for kids, you know. Jiu-jitsu are very good for kids, for help them to deal with life, you know, to give them more discipline, you know, to help them to get over difficulties in life, and works as a therapy. So Jiu-Jitsu changed my life. It helped me to change many lives that I get in contact with. So what I'm trying to do now is make it easier, the most I can, create a system that's gonna pass my experience in fight life to my associations, to my affiliates.
On your experience in your fight life and whatnot, being that you were UFC champion, you've had an illustrious career, you fought till you were 45, what advice would you give, not just to, you know, obviously guys like Rob that are young champions now? Well, let's start with this. What advice would you give to guys like Rob that are young UFC champions now?
I think the best advice is choose careful who will be in his side, you know, and listen to them. So because as I told you before, beautiful kids, everybody want to be a parent of a beautiful kid, you know. Ugly kids, when a fighter is starting the career, that they have a long way to be a champion. It's just a few people will be there to care. But after the fighter became a champion, everybody wants to be on his side. So the smart champion, you know, when the guy already there, he have to understand what's going on. Who is who? You know, who is there because of him, who is there because of the flash. So I think it's the most important right now for guys like Rob that's already there. So choose carefully who is going to be on his side.
And young guys coming up before that want to fight and whatnot, what advice would you give to them?
Work hard, trust in the coach, you know, that they have. Whatever the team they have, you know, they have to choose well the team. And work hard, man. Believe themselves and listen to the coach. You were also heavyweight jiu-jitsu champion, black belt jiu-jitsu world champion? Yes, I am.
What was that like? Because at the time when you were coming up, it was very centered in Rio at the time?
Yeah, they didn't have a world champion, you know, at the time. So the world champion was a state champion in Rio. So when I fight the first, when there was they create they made the first world champion, I was already 33 years old, so I had already 12 years of black belt fighting. So then I fight, in the time they put the first world champion was in the good time for fighters. I mean, you know, it was beginning of the year. So the guys were, it wasn't usual to fight this time. It was summertime, you know, during vacations. So, and then they moved the tournament for July, so it works better. And then I think every year is around June now, end of May, beginning of June. So I think it's a good time for the tournaments.
How hard is it for you to balance 50 academies worldwide?
Yeah, it's hard.
Because you go and do seminars with them and
yeah,
that, I assume?
Yeah, it's hard. Now what I'm doing is I'm picking the right people to help me. That's my job right now, you know. So to help me to make my business grow. and to help me to help my association and my affiliates. So I'm picking among my friends and my students who are going to help me to make my business grow. So my job now is kind of delegate and choose the right people, and then work hard to create my, I writing down my curriculum in my own way. I filming positions to give kind of a guidance for my associates with my own way to do it, kind of writing down 40 years of experience of martial arts, 30 years of experience of teaching martial arts.
How hard is it for you to make that? How hard is it for you to choose the right people?
I think I try to trust my feelings, my guts, and try to choose the right people is very important for business in general, So I listened that from a friend of mine. That was advice that I received from a friend of mine, that a very successful businessman, older than me, that as a kind of a billionaire, had a lot of success in his career, and I talked to him. He gave me this advice. So one of the hardest parts of the business is you have to delegate and then choose the right people to delegate. Because if you choose the wrong people, they're gonna bother more than help.
100%. Yeah.
So it's if you choose the right people, they're gonna help you a lot.
When you started jiu-jitsu, you came from because I think misconception. I think a lot of the times when people look at like why people start training or whatever, you weren't. You said you were a very shy kid, so your problems or your challenges were like, what were they? You said so when you started training, you said you were, when you were a little boy and you started training, you said you were very shy, very quiet.
Yeah.
So how did jiu-jitsu help you in regards to that?
Oh, helped me a lot, give me more confidence, you got to help you to get more discipline, to be more confident. And the competitions help because you deal with losses. So you have to get over any kind of frustration you have in life. And during the sparring is already something, because you win and lose in the academy, you tap and you beat people. But if you care that much about tap, you won't go anywhere in life. So I think the biggest lesson from martial arts and jiu-jitsu in general is help you to, trust yourself, get over the difficulties, and do what I have to do your thing.
It's very important, I think, for kids to learn to lose.
Yes, to lose is important, to deal with the losses, So it's and compete is important because life is competition from the beginning to the end. Professional life, doesn't matter which market you're gonna work, will be a competition. So if you deal well with that, naturally dealing well with the competition, they're gonna affect it. The loss is gonna affect it less. So affecting less, you can go further. That's my thought.
I think on that, and then I just think when like just even small things sometimes, like I was talking with a friend the other day. Actually, we were gonna have like a barbecue. It's just a funny thing, and they haven't done a lot of that type, any like competition stuff or in any realm. And we were discussing, neither one of us knew how to do whatever it was that we were going to do. I don't want to put them out there, but we had to do something. And they were stressing out. And it was like, the batata, the sweet potato.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking, the worst thing we're going to do here is burn this.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's the worst thing that can happen, you know. And I said, just put it in. Like, what's going to happen? You know, nothing. And they're like, what if it doesn't work? And I was thinking, fuck, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, and you know, maybe like I have my own problems. Like, I'm not saying, but it's a funny thing. Like sometimes with people, they get real caught up in being right or being wrong, and what happens if
doesn't work.
Yeah, what happens if it doesn't work? And like, I don't know, if I wait to make sure that I'm going to win whatever I'm going to do, I won't do anything.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
For me, martial arts is, because I don't win a lot, you know what I mean? It's helped me to deal with that situation where you go, well.
And you know what? I forgot when I was talking with the kids in class. I forgot to tell something important about the fear. The biggest thing is to deal with your own fear. The martial arts help you because everybody has fear, you know, fear for everything in life, for challenges in life, and every fighter has fear, you know, fear that something goes wrong, that, you know, so if you deal with that well, it's the most tasteful thing in life. You get over you know, your problems and difficulties and the fear, you get over the fear and win, you know, because when you apply a job, something like that, you need the job, so you go to the kind of interview to get a job, you're gonna be stressed and, you know, a lot of fears, that afraid that something goes wrong. So then you're gonna probably won't be yourself, and then gonna get worse, the interview. Just an example, you know. But if you relax and deal with your fears and the feelings, bad feelings that come from the you know, the anxious, you're gonna do better. Everything in life, but it comes from the, you know, how you're gonna deal with the difficulties. And the martial arts helps that a lot. Jiu-Jitsu helped me that a lot, you know. Fighting in front of talking about the professional side of martial arts. When you fight in front of 1,000 people. You know, we used to fight in Japan, 40,000. I fought for 70,000 once. And sometimes it goes right, sometimes it goes wrong. And when it goes wrong, it's gonna be repeating the bad part of your fight. And you're gonna pass in the best part of, you know, the highlights of your opponent, gonna pass you being beaten, you know. So I have to deal with that, because if you have to kind of something that I did when I was fighting as a professional, I put in the hands of God. It doesn't matter, just went there to do what I have to do. You know, it doesn't matter what's going on. If I'm gonna and then it may help me it helped me a lot to don't think about fears and what's gonna make me, you know, what can bother me during the fight or whatever.
And I think ultimately at the end of the day, the only person that really cares is you.
Yeah.
Like if you let the loss bother you that much,
yes.
It's only you.
Yeah, if you're afraid to lose, you won't fight well.
Because even the 70,000 people, once a fight's finished, they go have dinner.
Yeah,
they might talk, but they don't give a fuck.
They don't care. They don't give a fuck.
The only person is you.
Yeah, and your team and your
mom.
family. Yeah, you know.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so how you deal with that loss or that win, because then I think the other part is the loss and all that is very important, but then I think, you know, how you start to deal with the wins, because when you win a lot, it reveals your character as well, you know, how you act with winning, not just in a fight, but, you know, maybe you start to get promoted in work and you get more money, and how you deal with that is also important as well.
Yes, I think that's I realized in my career that the balance comes from you don't get too much affected from the losses and not too affected from the wins. you know, because you cannot, you must, your feet must be on the floor, on the ground. You know what I mean? So you're not better than anyone because you're winning. You're a better fighter, but so, you know.
Good for you, yeah.
Nothing than that. So you have blood in your veins, and you know you like everybody have 2 arms, 2 legs, and you know. So it helps you to stay focused, you know, because there's a job. You know you're a better fighter than someone, but someone is better in soccer than you, and better in doctor than you, or you know whatever, or smarter than you. So then people that became cock, like you know, like think that they too much because they're good in something in life, then everything goes wrong from there. The beginning of the end, I think so. You know, that's something I try to pass to my fighters, to people around me, to my students. You know, so it's make them deal with the losses and the success as well. I have my school as a good example. I have my school, famous actors in Brazil, famous people, and when they go there, the treatment is the same for anyone else. If they do something wrong, they're gonna pull the ear, and they know that, and they go there because of that, because it helped them to be, you know.
It's probably the only place where they have that.
The only place is gonna have it, and they know they're gonna do it because I don't care who they are. I mean, I care who they are, but I don't care what, you know, how much money they have or how much famous they are. I don't give a care. I don't care. I care how they behave, how they treat people around, you know. It's not about how you treat the champ, but how you treat people around. People that's serving you, you know, the waiters, the ordinary people around you. If you if you give good morning for people in your life, or they'll give a good morning only for people that you have some interest on them.
That's one of the things with Rob, and we work with, like, in Australia, rugby league football players, young football players, work with them and that. With Rob, other fighters, and with Rob, one of the things we say is like he's thing, but even a few years ago, it's like everyone's going to be nice to you. You're 26 years old, champion of the world. Who's going to be, only stupid people are going to be rude to him.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be nice to you, but it's
to be nice to the champ or to somebody famous is easy. You know, everybody wants to be a friend of the people famous or champ.
And so exactly what you were saying before, it's like, how are they to the waiter? How is that person to everybody else? Because if you treat people like shit, of course you're going to be nice to Robert. Of course, you're going to be nice to you or to other people but how are they treating? That is, I think, is a big thing what you said.
Yeah, it's something that comes from the martial arts that I learned, that I can, because I'm a master. I'm a black belt 6th degree. I have a lot of students, so I have the power to touch people some way in life. So I believe I have the responsibility to touch them in the good way. Yeah, I mean, like a father educate a kid, you know, you must be responsible and do the right thing. So you're an example, because, you know, among your students, they're gonna follow your way to go. So I kind of try to do this with my students, you know, and give the best example possible for them, and pull the ear if they do something wrong. I'm gonna be there to tell them, because I think the coach and the parents, they're not there to teach what the kids and the students want to hear, you know, and they're not there to show what they want to see. You know, you are there to help them to become better
100%.
human beings and kids, whatever. So probably the coach is gonna tell and gonna show something that's wrong. You know, if the champ do something wrong, you're gonna be there to tell him. Maybe you're gonna be the one to tell him. If don't listen, then it's the beginning of the end. You know, because sometimes the guys, when they go on top, they just want people clapping. You know, they don't want people. The people that tell him, you know, they're there to look up to them. They're gonna tell him what they believe, and sometimes it's not what they want to listen.
Eli, do you have any questions or anything you want to add?
No, at the moment, we've last couple of podcasts you've talked about that, haven't you, with the relationships with people and how you treat people and stuff like that. I think it's a skill maybe that, I don't know, is an old school skill that not everyone these days, do you know what I mean, has as well and stuff like that. But you see it all the time, not just in high level, but just in normal life. Do you know what I mean? Then people who come in and say good morning to everyone and stuff like that. Just genuinely, myself, do you know what I mean? I'm attracted to them type of people. I know they're brought up with the right morals and stuff like that, and they're genuinely good people. But you can also see the ones who come in, good morning, you know, or go around shake hands, but they're not interested. And then there's others who are really interested. Do you know what I mean? How's the family? How's the kids and stuff like that? I always I've had plenty of coaches in my time in different backgrounds and stuff like that, and I remember I've always respected my coaches the most. The ones who would ask just the simple questions. Do you know what I mean? How's everything going? How's home like? How's the family? Do you know what I mean? Just something simple like that, and it changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes your relationship straight away.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mate, we've been talking for an hour and a half.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good conversation.
No, it was very
Go
good.
fast.
Very good. But Alex is here to pick you up.
Okay, cool.
But you are doing seminars here in Australia for the next week?
Yes, I have a seminar in the Alex School Tuesday.
That's tomorrow at the...
Tomorrow, yeah, and the Gracie. Wednesday, gonna give a class. And,
Wednesday,
yeah, and Saturday I have a seminar in Brisbane in Bros Academy.
Okay, so
Brisbane.
29 years being a black belt.
30 now.
30 years you've been a black belt, and you are going to be a coral belt next year, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, or the year after, or something like that. You're going to become a coral belt.
Yeah. March, exactly March next year.
Okay, March next year you'll become a coral belt.
Yep.
That's basically, you have to be a black belt for
31 years.
For 31 years you have to be a black belt.
Yeah.
So that's, if you could get a chance to get down there and learn from Murilo at any of the seminars that will be at Gracie Smith and Grange Tuesday night, Brisbane, or even if you get a chance to come down, I imagine you're going to be at our gym from time to time until you leave. So, you know, if anyone gets a chance to come down and meet you or do one of your classes, I think would be really, really cool.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm here to. I think my one of my biggest mission in life is share the knowledge that I learned from my fight life. You know, so I have been trying to spread what I learned. You know, and try to develop the jiu-jitsu, you know, around the world. So the most I can, and for me it's a pleasure to teach.
Well, one more thing I want to say, this is the thing that spins me out every time. You live in Brazil.
Yeah, I live in Brazil.
You live in Rio.
Yes.
So you don't, and like what I was, when we were talking in the car, you don't speak English in Brazil. That's just for
Portuguese.
people. No, I know, but I know this, but I'm saying for people like that you don't speak English all the time.
No, not at all.
So that, like, the way
English.
It's
very good.
Mate, very, very good English.
You guys,
like,
you're being very polite. You know?
No, like very, very, very good. So I just thought I'd throw that in there and just say massive thank you for coming out. I know you're very busy and jet lagged and whatnot, and you came out, did the podcast, spoke to the students. I think that's a great experience for them. So thank you very much, Master.
Thank you, Fab, for having me here. You know, it was a great experience.
Thank you. All right, all good.